Hi guys, we're back. Sorry about that. The computer's plugged in and we are ready to rock. We're down at the bottom of page 158 in the middle of chapter 12. Sorry about the disruption, but here we go. They stared at each other, speechless. Then Dune suddenly stamped hard on the pavement. His face flushed red. That's the solution he keeps telling us about. It's a solution for him, not the rest of us. He gets everything he needs and we get the leftovers. He doesn't care about the city. All he cares about is his fat stomach. Lena felt dizzy, as if she'd been hit on the head. What will we do? She couldn't think. She was so stunned. Tell everyone, said Dune. He was shaking with anger. Tell the whole city that the mayor is robbing us. Wait. Lena put a hand on Dune's arm and concentrated for a minute. Come on, she said at last. Let's go sit in Harkin Square. I have something to tell you, too. At the north end of Harkin Square stood a circle of believers, clapping their hands and singing one of their songs. Lately, they seemed to be singing more loudly and cheerfully than ever. Their voices were shrill. Coming soon to save us, they wailed. Happy, happy day. Nearing the gathering hall steps, something unusual was happening. 20 or so people were pacing around and around, carrying big signs painted on old planks and on big banners made of sheets. The signs said, "What solutions, Mayor Cole?" and "We want answers." Every now and then, the demonstrators would yell at those slogans out loud. The demonstrators would yell those slogans out loud. Slogans are sayings. Lena wondered if the mayor was paying any attention. Dune and Lena found an empty bench on the south side of Harkin Square and sat down. Now listen, said Lena. I am listening, said Dune, though his face was still red and the look on his face was stormy. I saw Lizzie coming out of the storerooms yesterday, Lena said. She told him about the cans and about Lizzie's new friend, Looper, and what Looper was doing. Dune pounded his fist on his leg. It's two of them doing it then. Ugh! He said. Wait, there's more. Remember how I thought there was something familiar about the man who came out the door? I've remembered what. It was the way that he walked, sort of dipping over sideways, and also that hair, all that black hair, all unbrushed and sticking out. Well, I've seen him twice. I don't know why I didn't remember him right away. Maybe because I've only seen him from the front. I took a message for him on my first day. June was jiggling with impatience. Well, who was it? Who was it? It was Looper. Looper, who works in the storerooms, Lizzie's boyfriend. And Dune, Lena leaned forward. It was a message to the mayor that he gave me. And it was this, delivery at 8. Dune's mouth dropped open. So that means he's taking things from the storeroom for the mayor, and he's giving some to Lizzie and selling some in his store. Oh, cried Dune. He slapped his hand against his head. Why didn't I get it before? There's a hatch in the ceiling near tunnel 351. It must go right up to the storeroom. Looper comes through there. That's what we heard that day. Remember? A sort of scraping. Well, that would have been the hatch opening. Then a thud, his sack of stuff dropping through. And then a sound like someone was jumping down and landing hard on the ground. And then walking slowly. Because he was carrying a load. And walking quickly on the way out because he'd left it all for the mayor. Lena took a deep breath. Her heart was drumming with her and her hands were cold. We have to think of what to do, she said. If this were an ordinary situation, the mayor would be the one to tell. Yeah, but the mayor's the one committing the crime, said Dune. So then we should tell the guards, I guess, said Lena. Like they're next in authority to the mayor, though I don't like them very much. she added, remembering how she'd been so roughly hustled down the stairs from the roof of the gathering hall. Especially that chief guard. But you're right, Dune said. We should tell the guards. They'll go down into the pipeworks and see for themselves that we're telling the truth. Then they can arrest the mayor and have all the stuff put back in the storerooms, and then they can tell the city what's been going on. Yeah, that is a much better idea, said Lena. Then you and I can get back to what's more important. What? Figuring out the instructions. Now that we know that the door we found wasn't the right one, we have to find the right one. I don't know, said Dune. We might be all wrong about those instructions. They could just be about some old Pipeworks tool closet. He made a sour face. Instructions for Egriston? Or who's Egriston? Or Egrisman, or whoever it was. Why couldn't he have just been an especially stupid Pipeworks guy who needed instructions to find his way around? He shook his head. I don't know. I think maybe those instructions are just hogwash. Hogwash? What's that? Well, it means nonsense. I read it in a book in the library. But they can't be nonsense. Why would they have been kept in a box like that, with this strange lock? But Dune didn't want to think about the instructions right then. And we'll figure it out tomorrow, he said. Right now, let's go find the guards. Wait, said Lena, catching hold of the sleeve of his jacket. I have one more thing to tell you. What? My grandmother died. Oh, Dune's face fell. That's so sad, he said. I'm sorry. His sympathy made tears spring to Lena's eyes. Dune looked startled for a moment, and then he took a step toward her and wrapped his arms around her. He gave her a squeeze so quick and tight that it made her cough, and then it made her laugh. She realized all at once that Dune, thin, dark-eyed Dune, with his troublesome temper and his terrible brown jacket and his good heart, was the person she knew better than anyone now. He was her best friend. Thanks, she said. Well, she smiled at him. Let's go and talk to the guard. They crossed the square and climbed the steps of the gathering hall. Sitting at the big reception desk outside of the door of the mayor's office was the assistant guard, Barton Snowd, the same one Lena had encountered her first time here. Snowd looked bored. His elbows were on the desk and his chin was moving very slowly from side to side. Sir, said Dune, we need to speak with you. The guard looked up. Certainly, he said. Go right ahead. In private? Said Lena. The guard looked puzzled. His small eyes darted back and forth. This is private. He said, no one here but me. But anyone could come along, said Dune. What we have to say is secret and very important. Very important, said Snowd. Secret? His face brightened. Grunting, he raised himself up from his chair and motioned them into a narrow hallway off the side of the main hall. What is it? He said. They told him. As they spoke, interrupting each other to make sure they got in all the details, the guard's eyebrows gradually lifted higher and higher over his eyes. You saw this room? He said. This is true? Are you sure? He was chewing faster now. You mean the mayor? You mean the mayor is... At that moment, a little way down the hall, a door opened. Through it came 3 more guards, including, Lena spotted him by his beard, the chief guard. They strode forward, talking to each other in low voices, and as they passed, the chief guard threw a quick glance at Lena. Does he recognize me? Lena wondered. She couldn't tell. Barton Snowd finished his sentence in a husky whisper. You mean the mayor is stealing? That's right, said Dune. We thought you should be informed because who else can arrest the mayor? And once you've done that, the guards can put all the things that he's stolen back where they came from. Yeah, and then tell the city that a new mayor has to be found, said Lena. Barton Snode leaned heavily against the wall and rubbed his hand over his chin. He seemed to be thinking. Something must be done, he said. This is shocking. Shocking. He started back towards his desk, and Dune and Lena followed. I'll make a note, he said, taking a pencil from the desk drawer. Lena watched as he wrote slowly on a scrap of paper. Mayor stealing. Secret room. When he'd finished, he let out a satisfied breath. Very good, he said. Action will be taken, you may be sure. Some sort of action. Quite soon. Good, said Dune. Thank you, said Lena, and they turned to leave. The 3 guards were standing by the main door of the gathering hall as Dune and Lena went out. The chief guard moved aside to make room for them, and they went through the door and out into the wide front steps. Lena glanced over her shoulder. Before the door swung closed, she saw the chief guard striding towards the reception desk, where Barton Snode was standing up, leaning forward, his eyes shining with important news. What do you think's going to happen? Do you trust the guards? Do you trust Barton Snode? I don't know. I don't know if I do. I also don't know if I don't. Tricky. All right, guys. We are off to chapter 13. We'll see you there. Margot's fallen asleep. But we'll both be here for chapter 13 very shortly. Bye, guys.